This is the third video in my series about mobile gaming, and while you can enjoy this video even if it's the only one you watch, I think that you would enjoy it more if you watch the whole series in order. In the first video, I showed evidence that gaming was shifting to the mobile phone. That created quite the reaction, so in my second video, I clarified some points and responded to the arguments from the comments of the first one. And then I created a poll in the cards of that video asking you guys to vote with your experience of mobile gaming. The results of that poll blew my mind, and it is my inspiration for this video. But before we get into whether or not we should love or shun mobile gamers, we first need to ask the question, can a mobile gamer be a hardcore gamer? Does mobile gaming necessitate that they are no longer hardcore gamers? To answer these questions, we first need to define what it means to be a hardcore gamer. Hardcore gaming isn't some social club in which the most popular gamers get to decide who is accepted and who isn't. Hardcore gaming is a tangible thing. Admittedly, it can be a little hard to define, but you know it when you see it. Sometimes it's easier to figure out what something is by first establishing what it is not. When we think about it, hardcore gaming is not defined by how good someone is at playing games. Now, as a rule, hardcore gamers are going to be a lot better at playing games than casual gamers are, but that's not always true. Most of us have at least one friend or a friend of a friend who is a hardcore gamer that honestly, they're just not that good at it. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with how much time they spend playing games either. I mean, if a person plays 10 hours a day, they would be considered more hardcore than someone that doesn't play that much. But there are lots of people that only play a couple hours here and there, but when they play, we all know they're a hardcore gamer. Because hardcore gaming is about an attitude towards gaming. It's about taking it serious, and often includes being competitive. One time when some of my friends and I were about to play the board game Settlers of Catan, one of my friends said that he couldn't care less if he won or lost. And I thought, what is the point of playing a game if you aren't even going to try? I knew immediately that he was not a hardcore gamer because hardcore gamers are serious about gaming. We care about doing our very best and admire those that do their very best. Hardcore gaming is about an attitude. In fact, I would argue that hardcore gaming isn't even that much about the games we play. I've seen people get really hardcore about some really crappy games. I don't want to mention any of them because I don't want anyone to get offended, but I think you get my point. Hardcore gaming is about taking gaming seriously and has nothing to do with the platform you play on. So when games like Clash of Clans came to the mobile phone that had a little bit of strategy, a lot of us hardcore gamers made a hardcore game out of it. It was a novelty to play on our phones, and it was fun to be part of something that so many people played, and at first, the game seemed to be free to play. If you were skilled and strategic, you could max out your base in only a few months. But then Supercell would release updates way faster than a free-to-play player could keep up, making it to where we had no chance of making it to the top. So after dealing with that a few times, a lot of hardcore gamers said, that's it, mobile gaming is trash, peace. Which is great for them because to this day, mobile gaming is still full of a lot of trash. So if you are one of those people, you have saved yourself a lot of trouble. And as many of you have mentioned in your responses, computer and console gaming has a lot of advantages over mobile gaming, like bigger screens, better graphics, and the better utilities offered by a keyboard and mouse. But in this process, a lot of PC and console gamers assumed that all hardcore gamers felt the same way. In the gaming world, you will see lots of comments like this one posted in my first video. Rest assured, 100% of gamers will remain on PC console. Nobody is going to rush home to play on their mobile device with their buddies. But this is in fact not true. This year's Android Game of the Year went to PUBG Mobile, which has attracted a lot of serious gamers that do look forward to the next time they can play on their phones with their buddies. And what is even more surprising is what we learned from the votes of the last video. Thousands of PC console gamers have shifted to now being mostly mobile gamers. Now these statistics are going to be somewhat skewed because anyone that is watching a YouTube video about gaming is probably somewhat serious about gaming. So I imagine if a poll was taken of normal people, this pie chart would probably look more like this. But since my YouTube channel is not big enough yet to pay for a general survey, which would cost me around $10,000, this is what we got to work with. Just like computers and consoles have advantages over mobile phones also have some advantages over computers and consoles, which I've already mentioned in my last two videos. This is causing some serious gamers to prefer mobile games, just like some people prefer console games and others prefer computer games. Each of them have their own advantages. As someone who is in this category, I love PC games. My subscribers just bought me a brand new top-of-the-line gaming tower, and I cannot wait to play the newest and best PC games out there. My wife often makes fun of me because I'm one of those nerds that brings a notepad and writes down numbers to calculate things in order to improve my gameplay, but I don't care. I love being a hardcore gamer. I was once ranked in the top 10 of XCOM multiplayer, and I'm telling you, even though there's a lot of trash in mobile gaming, there are also some hardcore mobile games, like for example, XCOM. And there are also a lot of other hardcore mobile games that are unique to the mobile phone, and I actually prefer playing them on the phone. Each of the platforms have their own advantages. The reason it's important for us to think this way is because if all we do is focus on the strengths of our preferred system without acknowledging the advantages of the other, we can come across as elitist. This causes both sides to polarize and creates fighting, which ultimately leads to ridiculous comments like this one. But more importantly, as we fight each other, we lose focus on who the real enemy is. The real enemy are the companies that try to create addiction and then exploit it for their personal gain. The real enemies are the corporations that prey on children's lack of self-control and foresight. The real enemies are those that have lost interest in their own product because they see an opportunity to get wages they don't deserve. And as we fight each other about who is and isn't a gamer like it's some social club, we get distracted from the real problem. In the last 6 years, the world has gained over 1 billion new gamers. Those gamers like video games for the same reasons that we like video games. Most of them are not as serious about it as we are, but they don't want to play crappy games and end up regretting the money they spent on it. These gamers are just not as experienced as we are at identifying what is a good game and what is a money grab, so they're getting taken advantage of. The hardcore mobile gamers that people are accusing of not being real gamers are not the ones getting taken advantage of. They are the ones that are sorting through dozens of games to try to find those hidden gems in a platform that is full of trash. And they're doing a good job. They're not the ones spending the hundreds and thousands of dollars that you hear about. So when you call them a low IQ gamer, it is insulting and it is not true. The people spending hundreds of dollars on games are pro gamers, which use the money of their sponsors, aspiring pro gamers, which use their own money in attempt to get there, extremely wealthy people that have more money than they know what to do with, people with addiction problems, and then what I would call a low IQ gamer, which includes kids that just don't have a high IQ yet. I don't have statistics for you on which of these categories spend more money, but I do know that over 50% of money spent on free games is from 0.15% of gamers, which means that the other 99.85% aren't spending nearly as much as you think they are. So we have got to stop fighting each other and focus on the real problem. There are 1 billion new gamers out there that don't know what we know, and most of them are mobile gamers. Telling them that all mobile games are bad isn't going to help because either they don't have the money to buy a PC or console, or they actually prefer the mobile platform. But telling them which games are bad, or even better, how to identify a bad game, will help. Game companies are getting better and better at creating games that are free to start but expensive to continue. And we as gamers need to get better at identifying that early and calling it out. And as the 2.5 billion gamers in this world get smarter and smarter, the companies that make games for us will be forced to be more and more honest. I'm obviously getting really passionate about this subject, so in addition to the tutorials that I already do, which are geared towards teaching people how to play difficult games as a free-to-play player, I am planning to do a ton of research on mobile games and then posting reviews about them so that the good games get more publicity and the deceptive games get called out. If that kind of information is something you are interested in, I would be honored if you would consider subscribing to this channel. My hope is as my channel continues to grow, I will be able to make a bigger and bigger difference in this area so that one day mobile gaming will be cleansed because its users will be educated. Alright guys, I'll see you next time.